Pamela Nash, Senior Analyst for Inside Law. Today's guest is Kenneth Lopez, President and CEO of Animators at Law, which is a privately held concern. Ken, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, Pamela. It's my great pleasure to be here today.
Start us off with your overall goal or mission for Animators at Law.
Animators at Law, our mission is to be, I guess, a much bigger version of what we are today. And that is the nation's leading attorney-owned and operated provider of jury research, courtroom animation, trial exhibits, and all of these services being provided essentially to the major law firms of the U.S.
Now, in addition to being president and CEO, you're also the founder.
I sure am.
Tell our audience, what was the problem or the condition in the legal field that led you to create this company?
I was actually sitting in law school, and I had picked up computer animation as a hobby, of all things. And then as I was coming out of law school, I said, surely there must be a way to combine these two mediums, my passion for the law and my passion for computer animation. And I started looking around, and some folks in the industry were starting to think about using computer animation in the courtroom to explain very difficult concepts. And I saw this as a niche that was absolutely waiting to be filled. And that was my goal, was to fill that niche, and it's really worked wonderfully.
Now give us an idea of how you're doing that. Tell us about what your products and services are and how these things are going to work for the end user.
Well, I mentioned computer animation as really was our founding service. Today we've evolved quite a bit. We're really more of a consulting company that also provides design services. And we employ a group of artistically minded lawyers on our staff to interface with the top trial teams from around the country to help them explain very difficult subject matter to juries. We like to say that what we do really is we take the complicated and boring and make it interesting and understandable. And to achieve this, we do it with tools like traditional trial exhibits, with computer animation, or other multimedia sort of courtroom experiences that we put on.
It's kind of bottom line it for us. What would you say is the value proposition to your customers?
When people are hiring us, when major law firms with major clients are hiring us, it's typically in a case where there's a company or even an industry at stake. There's, of course, a lot of money at stake at those levels. And for our customers, typically they'll hire us to create some demonstrative evidence that helps explain something that an expert is trying to convey. And that's usually something that's highly technical or otherwise just generally confusing and wouldn't be palatable to a typical jury. So if you're going to pay your expert, as much as I've seen $1,500 an hour, and you're going to have them up there for just a few hours, you want to make sure that every single word, when your company's at stake, when you're paying for an expert, if your industry's at stake, you want to make sure that every single word, every single thought is conveyed in the best manner possible. And that's when we get inserted into the process. And so for us, we like to say our services almost pay for themselves by enhancing the value of these experts that are put on the stand to help defend companies across the country.
Now let's talk about your customer base for a second. Are you focusing on particular areas of law, and also you prefer different sizes of firms?
For us, our typical customer is a major law firm, obviously with a substantial litigation practice. Again, since most of the information or most of the times we get hired, it's because there's something very complex that needs to be explained. So typically we'll see work on behalf of intellectual property law firms. We'll see it on behalf of major industries. I would say our clients are almost more driven by the industries that we work with. So it's everything from tobacco to alcohol to pharmaceuticals to construction. The folks with very big problems who need to explain things in a way that has to be understood.
Now let me ask you this. Are you exclusively for federal court litigation, or do you also do state court things?
We work in courts all around the world. We transcend all boundaries in that sense. And we have offices here in Washington, D.C., also in New York, and also in Los Angeles. So we're able to really cover the country in a very tight way.
Now, just to follow that up, the state court, how do you handle different state rules of evidence and admissibility rules? We generally, we don't provide a legal service here, so we're not going to consult necessarily on precisely what
the admissibility issues are. Now, that said, we're lawyers. We know what the rules are. We know what we're balancing up against every time we bring a trial exhibit or computer animation into a courtroom. So our efforts are to make sure that we stay within the boundaries of the law, and we've been very good at it. In 5 years, we've never once had an animation excluded from a trial.
Well, that's an excellent statistic.
Yeah.
Now, give us an idea about the market space that you're in. What's the competitive climate in your space, and how are you positioned there?
We have some significant competition in the form of two public companies. One is FTI and another one EAI. And they were founded back in the mid-'80s. And they were sort of creeping into this area when I considered founding the company. And now they're very solidly in our space. So those are the folks who we typically run against at the national level.
And what would you say are your competitive advantages or your differentiators? What makes your company really stand out?
That's a good question. Those two firms, actually, that I mentioned were founded really as more engineering firms than anything else. And our position has always been that engineers are not trained in the, call it the powers of persuasion, as attorneys are. And so our belief, and our clients and our successes have proved this out, our belief is that it is a group of attorneys and artists who are best positioned to help a trial team win a case through persuasive visual graphics and animation. It's not a group of engineers whose training encourages them to simply illustrate. We're there to help folks win, and that's indeed our mission.
I'm speaking today with Kenneth Lopez, President and CEO of Animators at Law. Ken, what can we expect to see from your company in the next 12 months?
I think you're going to see a great deal more growth and continued profitability. All of our growth has been organic growth. We chose not to do the VC route early on, and we've done quite well as a result, really. And we're looking to effectively double the size of our company in 2001, and we're well on our way to that, and looking to do the same again next year. So it's been a great 5 years, and we're looking forward to many more.
Ken, where can members of our audience contact you?
Good question. Please visit us at animators.com or call us at 800-337-7697, and we'll put you in touch with an attorney who can help consult on your case for absolutely no charge to start with.
Ken, thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you very much, Pamela. Pleasure talking to you.
For Inside Law, this has been Pamela Nash. Thank you for listening.